This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by the former unified world champion, now number one contender at 135 pounds, Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just got here to Ireland. I was going to say London. That would have been bad. I just got here to Ireland yesterday, so feeling pretty good. Slept all the way through the night, which is always good, and about to head to weigh-ins.
Oh, awesome. As long as you don't call Katie Taylor British, I think you're okay.
Hey, I'm wearing green, so it doesn't matter.
That should curry some favour, I'm sure. Yes, you're here for the big fight, Katie Taylor, Chantelle Cameron. You've obviously got, I'm not going to say an eye on the winner because you're challenging for the 135-pound belts, which aren't on the line. But how do you expect Katie to get on in this fight? And how much will you take from it based on your challenge to her at the lower weight?
um, well, Katie is. I was literally just studying some of their fights just now, but um, Katie is moving up. I don't think the weight is going to be too big of a difference. Katie's been in there with big punchers, Amanda Serrano, Delphine Persoon. And Katie and Chantelle fought in the amateurs together at the same weight. So I think uh, they're not too far off. I really don't think they're too far off. I don't think it's going to be the weight difference. It's really going to be come down to styles. Katie likes to box and move. Hello? Oh,
Yeah, I'm still here.
Katie box and move. She does it really, really well. Her style is still a little bit amateur, but she almost perfected that style and she does it really, really well. She tends to gas a little bit though halfway through. That movement requires a lot of energy, right? And I think that's sort of where Chantelle will start to come on. Katie's gonna box and move like she does, like she usually outboxes her opponents the first few rounds, first half of the fight. And then as long as Chantelle is as aggressive as she says she's going to be and continues to put that pressure on and continues to try and break Katie Taylor down, I see her having her best moments in the second half of the fight. But will it be too late? Will Katie have had too many good moments? She is here in Ireland with her home crowd. So there's probably gonna be a little bit of favoring there. But I think it's gonna be a close fight. I would give Katie the first, have Chantelle the second, and we'll see who kind of comes out on top.
Would it take some of the shine off your eventual challenge to Katie if she were to lose this fight? Because you're going to get your shot regardless, but it's a bigger fight
Yeah.
if she's still unbeaten and you can take that O from her.
Yeah, people are saying that. Obviously, her staying unbeaten is definitely a big factor, but I don't think it's the only factor. At the end of the day, she's still Katie Taylor. If she loses to Chantelle, she goes back down to 135. She still has her champ, and she still has a name and the history and the legacy that she's built for herself. So, regardless, I'd be honored to step in the ring with her. Win or lose Saturday night. And I'd be honored to step in the ring with Chantelle Cameron too. Like I've been telling people, I think I'm a 140 pounder. I came to 135 because it's always been a dream of mine to challenge Katie Taylor. It was the next step up from 130. But I don't really plan on staying here long. I would love to have both of them on my resume by the time I finish.
And you were at 130 obviously for a long time. You were hoping for that rematch with Alicia Baumgardner. It didn't come to fruition. Was that kind of the final straw? Were you just hanging around at that weight hoping for that rematch and then moved up?
Um, I definitely wanted the rematch, obviously, and I would have stayed if she was willing to give it to me. But you know, to me, it was obvious to have that rematch. I know we didn't have a rematch clause, and that was my bad. But back in the day, they didn't need a rematch clause. If it warranted a rematch, it was a close fight. The fans wanted it, and the money was there. They did it. So in my mind, that's her loss. She missed out on another great fight because we really put on a big show. We sold the hell out of that fight, and we could have done it again. But she didn't want it, and so it's only natural for me to sorry, it keeps going black.
So
To move up in weight now because I'm disciplined and I can get my body down to 130, but I'm sort of doing myself a disservice at this point because I need to let my body really fill out, really start to put on the muscle and get benefit from all the hard work that I'm putting in. Because when I train as hard as I do, and then I go home and I'm eating 300 calories so that I don't put on muscle and I can keep my weight down, I'm not really reaping all the benefits. So I'm excited to see where I go from here with fueling my body the way it deserves to be fueled.
now, I know you feel you did enough to get the decision against Alicia, but how much of a factor do you feel the weight played in it being such a close fight?
I don't think it was the weight. I really don't think it was the weight. I think my not being able to sit fully on my punches and just being really, really thin. And but that wasn't when my style going into the fight. I was boxing and moving and trying to make her miss and jabbing but I don't think it was the weight. I'll never blame the weight for that because I always feel good going into my fights. At this point, though, I've lacked putting on muscle, really letting my body fill out, and so that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see how I evolve with just being at a stronger weight, like a more natural strong weight for me. But I don't think it had anything to do with being how skinny I was. It really was just me being skinny. I felt great. I was just skinny.
And she was, of course, a DAZN fighter. If you get the fight with Katie, she's a DAZN fighter. You might have to travel either to Ireland or to the UK once again. Are you concerned at all about the judging?
With someone like Katie?
Yeah, well, with anyone else of that stable and in this country.
Well, it was definitely a little bit of a wake up call for me. You don't want to. You really. Katie is so good at this. She, even when it seems like she might be losing the round, she'll come back and she'll steal it, and she finds a way to win. And in hindsight, with the Baumgartner fight, I would have done that more. I would have just closed that gap a little bit more and really made sure that I made it more clear and pressed her more, because I know I can do that. But it was a good little reminder. So definitely go into with someone like Katie who knows how to steal the rounds and is a favorite. She's going to be the favorite if she's Katie Taylor for everything that she's done. So yeah, it's going to have to be like keeping my foot on the pedal every minute of every round, for sure.
And we saw you make your debut at 135 over here in the UK. And it couldn't have gone any worse in the fight week, but any better on fight night. What was the whole experience like with the late notice change of opponent?
Never happened to me before as a pro. In the amateurs, you're used to kind of fighting whoever they put in front of you. So have a lot of experience in that sense. But as a pro, that was definitely a first. I think the biggest bummer for me, first of all, I'm glad they had a replacement ready. I mean, I was just glad I wasn't going to leave London without London without a fight, like you did the first time when the Queen had passed. So to me, I was like, oh my God, it's not happening again. But I'm really glad they had an opponent last minute. Props to Wildheart for stepping up. That was a big fight for her to take last minute. But the biggest thing for me was I was really adamant about coming back in a big fight. I picked someone like Lenardatu because I still felt like, regardless of losing that last fight, I still feel like I'm the best. I still feel like I'm in my prime. I still feel like I'm getting better and better every day. And I didn't want to take a step back just because of the loss. I wanted to show that, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm still going to challenge the best and get myself back on top. So that was Lenardatu. And so because I didn't get to do that, I didn't get to put that fight on for the fans. That was the biggest bummer. But I did what I had to do with the last minute change, and I'm just happy that I got a fight.
How did you find the kind of motivation side? Because you've got someone coming in at short notice, very low expectations. They've essentially got nothing to lose, whereas you've been built up. You're going to be the number one contender. It's all for
Yeah.
you to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, and she was sparring Lenardatu, so she knew about me. She knew a lot about me. I really knew nothing about her. But to be honest with you, it was sort of like freeing to me to go into a fight not knowing anything about this opponent and not having such a strict game plan, because Coach Al and I always have a strong game plan. He's very adamant about sticking to it, and he's always been that way. And so I've always gone into fights with a mindset of certain things that I need to do, but I didn't have that going into this fight. And so I was like, I'm just going to go in there and be myself and do the best I can. And it was just kind of freeing in a way.
And what about the fight itself? Were you surprised by how it panned out? I mean, you were dominant, I think it's fair to say, but she was dogged and she hung in there.
Yeah, and I expected her to, because I knew that Top Rank wasn't going to find a pushover. Like, that wasn't going to benefit me anyway. It wasn't going to make me better, and it wasn't going to impress the fans and help get me back on top where I want to be. So I know whoever, because they've moved me really well. All my fights, they've given me a little bit of a challenge here and there, different styles, forced me to step outside my comfort zone in little ways. So I knew that this wasn't going to be any different. So but at the end of the day, like I said, I still feel like I'm the greatest, and I feel like I'm boxing better than ever. And so I was confident going into that fight and very relaxed. But she was game. She was definitely game. She had an opportunity.
Now, we talked about the difficulty in beating Katie Taylor in Ireland for Chantelle Cameron. I guess a twofold question. One, when the Taylor fight happens for you, will you be happy to come to Ireland again? And secondly, what will you need to do to secure that victory beyond doubt?
Well, when it comes to coming to Ireland, it's not really up to me, is it? If I'm the challenger and she, is where she is in her career, that's just something that I'm going to have to accept as the B side of that fight. So yeah, perfectly willing to, have to do that. So far, I love Ireland. Hopefully, I'll reel in some fans while I'm here, and I won't be too much of a, second favorite. But,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, Katie Taylor, I've been watching her for years. She has her style. Uh, she does it really, really well. But it's a style that she's been doing for a long time, and I've seen a lot of it. I've watched a lot of it, and I know it well. And so, um, when we're in the gym coming up for it with a game plan for that, it's going to be my biggest fight. But I'm almost more familiar with her than I am a lot of my opponents in the past. So we've talked about little things here and there, but we've always been focused on the opponent ahead of us. We really haven't dived into our game plan with Katie Taylor yet, but when that fight gets done, Coach Al, I have a great strategist in my corner. So we're definitely going to come up with a good game plan. But like I said, it's going to be about winning every single round, not giving anything away, not giving any little moment away.
And with not wanting to be too much of a villain if the fight does come to fruition, I'm guessing we won't see you on Saturday night jumping up on the ring apron challenging Katie after the fight.
Listen, Katie is not the type of person you jump into the ring and get in her face. It's just, I that, and especially my rivalry with Baumgartner, like the reason why it was so intriguing and it sold so well is because it was real. So I'm not just gonna talk shit for no reason. I'm not gonna get in Katie Taylor's face. That's not the fight it's gonna be. It's gonna be a fight against two of the best female fighters in the game right now. And she's always been very respectful. So there'll be no reason to come at her, but she knows I'm here. I've been calling her out for years and saying her name. So now that I have the interim belt, she's gonna have to make it happen. And I think that she has respect for me too. She's always wanted to fight the best. About a year ago, she put me in her top pound for pound list. So she knows who I am too.
And while you're chasing two weight world titles, you've got people chasing you as well, even though you don't currently have a belt. What does that kind of say about you that people are still kind of calling you out?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have built myself. I have built my career to a point where one loss, one opponent, one decision, it can't take that away from me. It can't take what I've built away from me. And that's important to me because as long as you're putting your ass on the line, fighting the best and making big fights, one loss shouldn't be the end of your career. And so that's what I'm here to prove. I'm here to prove I'm still the best. I'm still Mikaela Mayer. People still want to fight me. I'm a big name in the sport, and so yeah, at this point it's flattery. They should want to fight me. That's what young up and coming champions do. They want to fight the best, and that's me.
And one of those people that very vocally wants to fight you is Caroline Dubois, a British unbeaten Olympian. How aware before she called you out were you of Dubois and her progress?
Oh no, I know about Caroline. Just going to the UK the past few years, being out there. She's an up and coming fighter. She, recently came out of the amateurs not too long ago. She only has about 6 fights, so. But I knew of her. I've met her a few times, and she's great up and coming talent. I think she's really talented, and she's going to be a great fighter, probably world champion one day. I think it's a little premature for her to be calling out a fight with not be calling out a fight with you because I did that too. When you're young and up and coming, you want to challenge yourself against the best. That's what she should be doing. So I'm not offended by it at all. I think that our timelines aren't there yet with each other. We might cross paths in the future, but for now, I'm number one contender. I have my eyes set on Katie Taylor, and we'll go from there. We'll see. I think she's got a few more tests for herself that she needs. She's at her next fight, I believe, is I think probably her first real test. So maybe a few more of those and work her way up, and we'll see. I'm not shutting it down, but I haven't responded to it because I just don't think it's relevant yet.
And you said after the Wildheart fight that you expect Katie Taylor after this to potentially rematch Amanda Serrano. So you'll be waiting for that shot. What will you do in the interim? What sort of challenge can we expect for your next fight?
I am waiting. I'm waiting to hear back from Top Rank. They have some things in the works right now, so we'll see. But as soon as I get back from Ireland, I plan on going into camp and just staying ready. But I don't have a date yet, and I don't know the plan. But I'm waiting. I'm like curious, just as curious as you. I'm calling my manager every day. What's Top Rank saying? What's Top Rank saying? They have something in the works, but you guys should know soon.
And speaking of Top Rank, they're staging a huge fight on the other side of the pond, of course, this weekend. Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Will you be staying up late after Katie's fight to watch that on TV?
I was wondering what time it would come on at. I think it'd be more like morning time, wouldn't it?
Be like 4, 5 a.m.?
Yeah. Maybe I'll set my alarm. I won't be staying.
What do you make of that fight? Who do you see coming out on top?
I off the top of my head, I want to say Devin Haney. He's just such a sharp jab. Really hard to get past that jab. I think that if Loma boxes the way he did when we've all seen him in his biggest, greatest fights, with all the movement and the angles and getting low and getting underneath that jab and kind of closing that space with really, really tricky movement, then he could beat Devin Haney. But I didn't see that in Loma in the last couple fights, and so I don't know if he still got that amazing movement that he always has used. So I'm gonna say Haney just because he's gonna be able to keep him outside with that reach and that long, sharp jab.
And just finally, there's a lot of talk with Haney going into this fight that he's a free agent after this and whether he'll stay with Top Rank or not. Just tell us a little bit about what Top Rank have done for you and how that partnership's worked so far.
I have no complaints about Top Rank. When I first decided that I wasn't going to go for another Olympics, I was not getting offers anywhere. I mean, women were still not getting signed by promoters. I think Katie had just signed a deal with Matchroom, but that was still like a big shock to everybody because promoters didn't have women on their roster. So I was gonna go to the MMA route because that's where women were getting the TV time, the respect, the money, and I thought that's what I needed to do. But I sat down with Top Rank last minute. They, you know, within 2 weeks, I had a contract sent to me. So they believed in me. I mean, I believed in myself first. I sat and I sold myself, and that's what I always said you have to do. You have to believe in yourself if you want anyone else to believe in you. And I really feel like I did that. But they took a chance on me because there wasn't a market yet built for women's boxing. So, and since then, they've moved me really well. My first few years, I got 6 fights a year, like most men do when they have first transition to the pros. I feel like they got me quality opponents to help me learn each fight and grow. And yeah, I have no complaints. I've been very, very lucky, especially as a female in this sport. Not everyone has the platform and the promotion that I have. So I've been very lucky, no complaints. I just re-signed a great contract with them last year, so they're taking care of me.
We talked earlier about how you've kind of transitioned from the person chasing the glory to being chased by the younger generation. How do you feel also about now being someone that the girls getting into boxing look up to? Guys like you, Katie Taylor, and so on, you've been part of that revolution.
It's an interesting time because it's only within the last year that it's like, or year or two, since women's boxing has really kind of blown up, 2 years, that I that I really feel the support from the younger generation. That I'm having the younger generation start to call me out. This is a first, I think, for women's boxing. Just having multiple generations, knowing that the next generation below is coming up, like the opportunities that they're going to have, the skill level that they're going to have. So I just look at it as, just I'm just flattered by it. I can't be offended by it. That's what I wanted for the sport. I wanted the younger generation to have a path. I wanted to see more women in the gym. So now that this generation of women have sort of done that or helped to start that, I can't be mad that I'm getting called out and that women are coming for me. So good for them.
One piece of advice that you'd give to the young girls going through, or even to a young Mikaela Mayer, if you could go back and talk to yourself?
God, Um, I don't know. I feel like every decision I made sort of helped lead me to where I am today. So it's hard to say, I don't regret anything. Things have been unfolding the way they should, but um I guess to the younger generation is that no one's going to work harder for you than yourself. Like, you can have a promoter, you can have a publicist, you can have a team, but at the end of the day, like, you're your own brand. You got to go out of your way, you got to do a little extra. This is not even though there's an easier path now for the women to get to the top, it's still extremely hard. I mean, look, we still have a long way to go. If you look at women's boxing, like, Ginny Fuchs, O'Shea Jones, they're Olympians. O'Shea's an Olympic bronze medalist. They still can't get a promoter to sign them. So you still got to work hard. You still got to do that little extra when it comes to promoting yourself, when it comes to building your brand, representing yourself the way that you want to be seen by the world. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but you can do it. You got to believe and put that work in every day.
Brilliant. Mikaela, really, really appreciate your time. It's been great. And yeah, enjoy the weigh-ins and then the fights tomorrow.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Good talking
All
to
right.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.